Hi, welcome to another Lemon Amiga game review. This time we're playing the 1989 Jeff Crammond classic, Stunt Car Racer. This game is a vector racing game set over 8 tracks, and the first track is called the Little Ramp. As you can see, you can scroll around a little map at the beginning of every level to familiarise yourself with the layout, and then it's on to the game itself. As you can see, Stunt Car Racer is a vector game. The aim is to drive as fast as possible over a series of elevated race tracks and to come out the winner in the lead after 4 laps. You can play this with a computer opponent or a friend, or even use the no modem cable to link computers together. The game is very fast. You're currently looking at the 030 setup, 25 megahertz, but the game is surprisingly fast even on an Amiga 500 if the settings are tweaked, and especially if you have a fast RAM on board. Stunt Car Racer was ported to a myriad of different platforms, including the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC, the PC, and everything else in between. Now that we've completed 4 laps of the first track, we move on to the second track. And after a series of communication screens which keep the player up to date with their progress, we get to see the second track, which is called the Humpback. Slightly more difficult than the first track. And as you can see, the play area is split into a number of sections. In the middle of the screen you can see the forward view of the vehicle with the turbo fire spilling out of the exhaust manifold. This is to indicate that the player has held the fire button down to increase the speed by 50%, which instigates the turbo. You can hold down the fire button to turbo forward, and you can also pull back to turbo brake as well, which is a really handy feature. The bottom left hand corner of the screen, L1, denotes the current lap. The B33 shows the amount of remaining turbo, and the minus 90 shows the distance in front or behind of the opponent player. It's important to make sure that that you remain in front of the opponent throughout the 4 laps, otherwise it's increasingly difficult to catch up. So that's the second track, and after completing 4 tracks in the lead, you will move up a division and you will gain access to 2 more extra tracks. So this is me on Division 3, the second lowest division, attempting to undertake the track called the Stepping Stones, which is not a very fast track, to be honest, which isn't made any easier at all because of the opponents. A quick word about the opponent players. This computer controlled wedge that you can see at the moment is surprisingly difficult, and the computer players will knock you off every now and again and completely get in your way and make life really difficult. It isn't possible to knock those computer players off, even though they can do it to you, which is a little bit of a hassle. As you can see, this is the stepping stone section, and speed has to be maintained at 140 miles per hour throughout the whole thing. You'll also notice in this game that you get plenty of air time. Look at this, I'm gaining no forward momentum at all. You will only gain forward momentum when all 4 tyres are glued to the track. So it's all very well and good booting the turbo and gaining plenty of air, but while you're in mid-air you won't be able to increase any forward momentum over the opponent players until you come down and have a landing. If you end up falling off this raised platform, you will incur damage. As you can see at the top of the screen, you will see 5 holes which has been incurred through previous damage of me falling off the track. also notice a sound, and maybe a crack will appear in the top left corner as well. These cracks denote the player's health, and when the crack manages to get to the other side of the screen, the player runs out of health and it's game over. The holes make sure that the progress is hastened somewhat, so it's always better to make sure that you don't crash significantly. So this high jump, it's very impossible to be honest. You have to maintain at least 200 kilometers per hour, miles an hour, to make sure that you get over that thing in one piece. Otherwise you can forget it. And then we come to a similarly difficult track called the high jump. And yeah, again, experience definitely matters on levels like this. Full turbo and full acceleration at the beginning ensures that you gain some distance beyond the computer controlled player, which is essential. You can see I'm turboing as fast as possible, and I'm only just making sure that I reach that platform. On this level we have to instigate full speed straight from the get-go and throughout the entire level. The back section is much easier, several rises and falls, but as you can see, too much airtime, and the computer player who's taking it a little slower will be able to out-accelerate us until we come to a landing. You can see the computer player just pulls a wheelie there, and the hardest part of this course, as you can see, is this section here, where the course just veers off completely over at an angle, and it's really difficult to approach this and effectively get through this. Obviously I haven't managed to do this, and that makes it very, very difficult to catch up to the computer control player. Then life doesn't become any easier when you qualify for the next section, the roller coaster. This is in Division 2, which is the second hardest division in the game. And straight from the get-go you're faced with a tremendous climb on this level, which you'd be tempted to put full speed down and plenty of distance between you. But unfortunately you can't do that. You have to, by the time you get to the top of this crest, you have to be under 130 kph, otherwise you Superman straight over the edge of the platform and it's game over. You can't catch the other player if you make too many mistakes. Again, maintaining a really slow speed throughout this section of the course, because it's so easy to go off. This particular course is so high that it can take 60 seconds to fall from the top layer, crash, recover and drop back on the track again, and within those 60 seconds the opponent could be halfway around the level. During this backstage of the roller coaster, it is possible to get a little bit of speed together, but watching these very, very tight bends, you'd be advised to really take it easy on these sections if you want to stay on the track in one piece, which is particularly difficult when you have an opponent player behind you, as they really do make life infuriatingly difficult sometimes. And then it's back to the start again. So rather than all out speed on that section, it's all about tricky timing. And this one as well, the Drawbridge, it's quite a random course, is the Drawbridge. You start like every other course on a nice flat section where you can turbo off into the sunset. But unlike the other courses, the Drawbridge has a section which raises and lowers at random. Here it is, you can see it in front of you, and it really is a matter of turbo and hope that you'll get over that thing. Maybe you'll nosedive into the scenery, maybe you'll only just make it, maybe you'll career off the track altogether. But as you can see, I had a major crash there which put a nice big hole in my chassis, which means my life energy, which is already a third of its way across the top of the screen, There you go, just to kill myself another hole in the paintwork. Now it's halfway across the screen. So as you can see, it doesn't take a great deal in this game to really write the car off, and you really have to maintain the speed, the direction, and everything else if you want to complete this game. So on some tracks there's holes in the ground as well, which make life difficult to jump over. Some of the tracks have blind jumps. Some of the tracks, like this one, have raised platforms, which make driving extremely rocky at the best of times. All these courses are quite unique, and it'll take just a little time to familiarise yourself with the mechanics of each one. The final course on the original disc, once you qualify for the first division, the top level, is this one. This is called the ski jump, and it's probably the most difficult course on the entire level. Perhaps not technically, but when you're racing against another opponent player, these sections, which I'm taking quite slowly at the moment, it has to be said, have to be driven at full speed just to maintain a lead in front of the other player. So it's always a compromise, going very slow on these sections, very, very high sections, so that you can stay on the track, and make sure that you don't career straight over the top of these things. Also maintaining a good level of speed so that you can defeat the other player. As you can see, there's no other player on this section because I'm in practice mode, but if there was, the other player would be making life pretty difficult by now. Turbo over the jump here, which is also pretty difficult, because if you hit this section correctly, not only will you incur damage, but when you come down to land, you might not land just in time to get around the course. Luckily, I've landed in quite a good section, and that takes me back to the start again. When you complete all 8 tracks of the original disc, you get to play this, which is the Super League, where you get to play all 8 tracks again, this time with slightly faster frame rate and much harder opponents. The sides of the track are grey to denote that you're playing the game all over again, but this time in Super League mode, which is even more difficult. And when the player completes that, they might like to try out the TNT version, which stands for the new tracks, which contains 8 new courses spread over another 4 divisions. As you can see, the courses are rather well designed and range in difficulty. So we just have time to have a look at a couple of these. Let's start with a track on the 4th division, the easy division, called the Dizzy Descent, which is surprisingly difficult. As you can see, the tracks are now green as opposed to the grey of the original, and the sides of the courses are now blue. Very difficult to get over that first jump on this section unless you're really hammering the turbo, and if you can stay on the track. And as you can see, the opponents are very difficult on this add-on disc. If you make any mistakes whatsoever, the opponent will drive all over you. And looking at this, even though I'm turboing it through every section I can do, I'm not making any gains on the guy whatsoever. You'll notice the TNT version is very much smoother than the original, and it also includes a turbo mode, which you can see in the top left corner, which again makes the game very much more playable, particularly on Amiga 500. And there's just time to show you this, which is the Teasing Temper. This is a track on the 2nd division, the second hardest, and straight away again, unless the driver takes full advantage of the turbo on these sections, the computer opponent player will not only get in your way and make life exceedingly difficult, but also it makes driving difficult because you can't see where you're going. Turbo over all these sections in the game as fast as possible, maintaining the fact that you've got on the track and you don't want to go off it. And this is me clinging desperately onto the lead, trying to stay in front of this guy on this course. So thank you for viewing Stunt Car Racer.